name is Mason Marar. I'm a healthcare worker. I'm a physician assistant. I'm here today to commemorate 1 year of genocide and also 1 year of resistance for the Palestinian people in Gaza. As a healthcare worker, we're seeing specifically how healthcare workers are being attacked, not just in Gaza, but also in Lebanon. This week alone, in the past couple of weeks, we saw 20 healthcare workers in Lebanon that have been killed. In Palestine, over 1,000 healthcare workers, everything from doctors to lab technicians, have been killed over the past year. And as a healthcare worker, we're here to stand up against this injustice and to stand for the people of Palestine.
The United States continues to support military weapons to the destruction of both Palestine and Lebanon now. Why is that, and what can unions do around that issue?
What can unions do? You know, the United States continues to send material support to Israel at this time because they have an interest as well. If Israel succeeds, then the U.S. empire succeeds. As unions, what we can do as workers, what we can do is to stand up against anything, like, for example, standing for an arms embargo, standing up as laborers to strike at ports so that we don't send shipment of material aid or weaponry to Israel. The labor unions have always had a historic place in civil movement and civil rights history, and so they definitely have a place right now.
What union are you in?
I'm not currently in a union. As physician assistants, we don't have unions.
You should.
We definitely should.
You're workers.
We definitely are workers. Hopefully that could be in the next coming phase.
Nathan Gordon, retired physician.
And there have been hundreds of healthcare workers, not only now in Palestine and Gaza, but also in Lebanon, bombed. They're bombing hospitals. Do you find that, shocking that Israel is getting away with that with the support of the United States?
No, I don't find it shocking because the United States is basically a war machine. If you look at the fact that half of the budget goes to military, it's basically the equivalent of the Death Star in Star Wars. And they're just pursuing a policy of annihilation. This is just genocidal annihilation. And Israel has basically said that all along. This is a religious fanatical movement which goes back to biblical times. They're going to want to maintain all the land and, from the river to the sea, quote unquote, as Jewish land. They're going to kill off or drive out everybody else. And the United States is totally behind them because they want to control the world. They've said that also. We're going to be the dominant power in the world. And if it means killing off millions of people to control the oil and dominate the world, we're going to do it. And the only policy the U.S. has is war. And same thing with Israel. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to compromise. They don't want to live cooperatively with humanity. They just want to dominate the world. So, to me, it looks like, what was it happened in Nazi Germany? The government had to be utterly destroyed. So when you have a racist, fanatical government, ultimately it comes to total destruction. Unfortunately, it's going to be taking us with it because it's a nuclear armed struggle now. China, Russia, they're not going to be pushed around by the United States any longer. And so instead of compromising, they just accelerate the struggle until it becomes a nuclear conflict. And the only solution to that is when people wake up and say, we're not doing it anymore, which means mass strikes, mass insurrections. It means we don't work, we don't ship anything, we don't go to work. Doctors and nurses should be striking across the country, not only for this, but for what about abortion? How many medical schools have walked out and demonstrated? How many medical societies have said we're not going to do any medical work as long as these laws are in place? So it's up to us. We have to take the power into our own hands. We have to seize the moment and organize the masses of working people who are going to be destroyed by what's coming.
Okay, and privatization of public health. You're a public health doctor. It seems like capitalist control of the healthcare means that millions of people don't even have health coverage. In East Palestine, those workers in that catastrophe with Norfolk Southern have lost their health care. What does that say about the United States and both the Democrats and Republicans?
What does it say about what?
The Democrats and Republicans, and health care. They're spending billions for war, yet they don't have money for the people of this country.
Yeah, well, there have been estimates that the public health system, which we need to prevent us against all kinds of infectious diseases, has been cut by some $300 billion over the last 15, 20 years. So what it says clearly is the priorities are war, and to maintain profit for the oil companies, the banking system, and to dominate the world. And the needs, the social needs of the working class, the vast masses of people all over the world, healthcare, education, housing, all of those decent prices for food, all those things become secondary, if not tertiary, or if non-existent at all, just to fund a military war. They're going to dominate the world by violence.
I'm Maria Cristina Gutierrez, and I'm a member of the Revolutionary Workers Front.
And you have a banner here, National General Strike for Palestine. Why don't you talk about why you have this banner here at the rally today?
Yeah, I think that it's so important that people realize that no matter how much we march, how many things we do, unless we paralyze this country and affect it economically, nothing will happen. So we need the workers of this country to take a stand, and the union need to call for a general strike. That's what it is. They are supposedly representing the interests of the working class, so they should be calling for a general strike, demanding that the financing of this genocide, occupation, and war against the Palestinian people stop, and demanding that the money that is used for that, the billions and billions of dollars that are being sent to murder children, be used to give a home to the homeless, to provide us with health care, to provide us with good, free, quality education, and with good paying jobs. And that, we can stop this war, this madness. That's why we're here.
You've been also rallying at the San Francisco Labor Council. What's been going on there, and why have you been protesting at the San Francisco Labor Council?
Because they're not doing anything. They come out, a few of the members have come out and said that they are proud of being Zionists. They have poured water on me and other people that have been manifesting there. They have been violent because we have been asking for them to call for this general strike. And now, they even change the place where they meet because they fear the truth. They fear these old people, we are older, those of us who go there. They fear because we're talking the truth. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue this struggle, focusing on the union. They're supposed to represent our interests as workers, and we demand that that money be used for us, not to murder children. That's why we go there, and we will continue to do so.
And Israel, with U.S. weapons, has bombed hospitals.
Yes.
They've killed journalists, murdered journalists, hundreds of journalists, thousands of hospitals, workers have been injured. What are they doing there? And why is the United States supporting them?
In reality, in my opinion, it's because there's no difference between the state of Israel and the United States. The United States created it, that state, in order to have a watchdog in the Middle East. That's how they did it. So it's in their interest to keep it going. It is in the interest of the ruling class of this country, not the workers. So they need to keep it going, and they keep sending all those billions of dollars. Listen, I heard that all they send to the people in the hurricane, that the problem that we have, $750 for people that lost everything, and then that same day or the next day, they send $8 more billion for murdering children. So, the union need to take a stand for us.
Jeremy Miller with the Black Alliance for Peace. Out here today with the people. This is a large gathering convened to take notice of the eve of the one-year anniversary of the genocidal aggression conducted by the State of Israel against the people of Palestine. And
they're now expanding the attack on Gaza, the West Bank, to Lebanon. Are you surprised by that?
No, and there's also talk about them expanding to Iran, which bodes terribly for the region as well. Am I surprised? No, because at the end of the day, all the pretexts of a response to Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, it's always been pretext. What this is a expansionist game by the State of Israel. It's an imperialist game by the United Capitalist Present States of America. And all of the people being aggressed upon, being attacked, and being genocided right now have been in the crosshairs of these powers for decades. So the moment, and by the moment I mean the last year, is being used as an excuse to carry out imperial ambitions that have been long-standing. And the amazing part is what gets less reported on, and that is the spirit and power of the resistance, which is what we're a small part of coming here today.
And the Democrats and Republicans both are for more weapons to Israel. They both have supported that. I mean, it seems like there's no political alternative for working people in the United States, the mass of people.
Well, there's no political alternative within the duopoly. Anyone that seeks salvation from either the Democrats or Republicans, or for that matter, even a human, non-psychotic policy, will not find it. The Democrats and Republicans each have their own share of oligarchs and elites that they are the representatives of, and that is the only people that they are the representatives of, and their entire policy is coordinated towards promoting those interests, which can often wax genocidal, as we see here.
And the union leadership, the bureaucracy, AFL-CIO, the unions say that they support Israel, they support a Zionist state. Is that an obstacle? Because in England on the 10th, the unions are calling for protests to stop military weapons to Israel from the UK. Why are the unions continuing to support this genocide?
It's a very complicated question, as you're well aware, to answer in a brief sentence. But I mean, I would say this. First off, I would highlight that there are a handful of unions that have taken a righteous stand, that have, divested from any investments that they have with the apartheid state of Israel. There are unions that have turned out their numbers in protest. But you're right; it is the minority. It's non-representative of the U.S. labor movement writ large. And what that has to do with is. What that has to do with is moral and organizational failings of the labor movement for decades. This attachment to the tit of the Democrat Party as some presumed safeguard against attack, which, has done nothing ultimately for working people. We see it in the numbers. We see it in the conditions. We see it in the stagnation of wages across many industries, and we see it in the really diluting of any radical tendencies, any humanitarian radical tendencies that may have existed. And again, I don't want to universalize. There are a handful of outlying unions that are doing amazing work, but yeah.
But I mean, wasn't the AFL-CIO set up as a pro-imperialist, pro-capitalist organization, corporate structure, and involved in overthrowing unions around the world? I mean, wasn't that the history of the AFL-CIO?
Yes, it is, but it's always been a contested position. There have always been resistance currents within these internationals to attempt to drive it in a different direction. But yes, you're right. I won't dispute that. The AFL-CIO has largely been set up and directed to stifle the working class globally in the interests of certain.
And they're supporting the war in Ukraine, but apparently Palestine is another issue.
Well, again, tragically, at the AFL level, we're not looking for an ethical position is fruitless. I mean, this is not the parameters that they're operating on. They're operating on protecting those that they have sworn to protect, and unfortunately, contrary to popular mythology, that typically is not your average worker.
So what can working people do in this country about this, genocide, the expansion of the war, and possibly a war with Iran and a war in the whole Middle East?
Resist. The good news is that labor and labor power exists well beyond the confines of the AFL-CIO structure, and we need to not forget this. A lot of people like to throw around casually the term general strike. The fact of the matter is, there are businesses, there are establishments with workers all around us that are largely non-represented, by these major unions, but they're filled with workers. So labor power can still be flexed. We just need to expand our definition of what constitutes labor and organize. Get out and organize and get together and find each other and meet each other in these streets and do the thing, whether or not it receives the sanction or the blessing of outfits like the AFL-CIO.
The United States is apparently supporting continued military aid to Israel.
Yes.
They're now expanding the bombing from Palestine to Lebanon. Are you surprised by this development?
No, but that's what they're always done and have been doing for so many years.
And it seems like the United States says that they don't like what's going on, but they're continuing to give military aid. Why is the United States doing this?
They benefit. They benefit from doing it. They take oil. They take everything good that we have back home, and they give us bombs, and they benefit. They make money.
They're looting the country.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And do you think things are going to change with the American people? Because in this election, you basically have two parties who both say they want to continue to support Israel.
They won't, because they don't have access to the truth. See what's going on and what's have been going on since 1917. They'll understand.
What's your name?
Ronnie.
I'm here as a healthcare worker to stand up for Palestine.
I'm a member of Healthcare Workers for Palestine, and we know specifically that healthcare facilities and healthcare workers have been targeted by Israel. And the reason that happens is not just to cause wide-scale destruction, although that's definitely part of it. It's to destroy the possibility of any life and wellness for Palestinians and now for siblings in the region. So we are calling on healthcare workers of conscience to join us, to stand with our siblings that are working towards the health of all people. Come into the streets with us, come into the struggle with us. There's a place for you, and it's never too late to fight for a free Palestine.
Are you in a union?
I am in a union.
Is the union supporting this?
So my particular union did sign on.
That was the SEIU?
Yeah, I'm SEIU. I would say on a local level, there has been no direct support. We are needing support from our unions now that individuals are being targeted for speaking out or even showing us.
So people are afraid of even speaking out.
People are very afraid of speaking out. People's careers are being damaged. They're being fired with being threatened. You put a lot on the line professionally if you speak out as a healthcare worker.
And should the union defend those workers who are speaking out?
Absolutely. It's not just about Palestine, although Palestine is at the front. It's about workers' rights. It's about the right to fight for a liberated world.
And it seems like there's unlimited money for war, billions of dollars, yet people are suffering. They don't have health care. I mean, healthcare workers are under attack. I mean, is that a contradiction?
Of course it's a contradiction, right? We look at our own public healthcare system in San Francisco that I work in. There's always a crisis in staffing. There's always a crisis in the amount of services that are available. I work in behavioral health. How long it takes to someone get linked to care it's unconscionable. If we really demonstrated support for health in our own communities, we wouldn't be sending money for wars.
And what can union members do about it?
Well, talk to your union, talk to anyone who will listen. No sign of solidarity is too small. If your union hasn't signed on to a ceasefire statement, push them to do so. Organize your coworkers. We also want people to fight for boycott, divest, sanctioning in their workplaces, specifically thinking about pensions and retirement plans. Find out what's happening in your financial world, in your professional sphere, and use whatever influence you can to bring down Israel.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm here because I'm just angry, I'm upset, and I think we need to come out and be together, build solidarity, and I think, we have to just get out and meet each other and start thinking about some type of path forward, because what's going on is unbearable.
And both the Democrats and Republicans are supporting Israel.
Yeah.
The union's leadership are supporting Israel.
Yeah.
What is going to change it? Because in this election, is there a candidate that represents opposition?
No, our two parties are dead end. They're sad, miserable, dead end corporate parties. Kamala is all on board. Trump probably on board also. Joe is very on board. And it sucks that our union leadership is also on board, but it's not surprising.
Are you in a union?
I used to be, but at different jobs, so not at the moment. But if union leadership is a barrier to making people's voices heard, then I think rank and file needs to challenge their union leaders. Union leaders aren't always right, and sometimes you do have to challenge them. So yeah, we do unfortunately have two terrible choices. I'm probably going to vote Green Party, not because Jill Stein is going to win, but I think that it should be a protest vote, and I think that we all need to practice breaking apart from these two choices. And again, it's not like she may not win, but if she gets enough votes, next round, the Green Party could receive electoral federal funding. So that's
if there's an election in the next round.
If there is an election.
Are you concerned about the rise of fascism?
Yes, I think America has always had elements of fascism. Let's just be honest. We have an insane amount of funding towards our military, our behaviors, our actions throughout decades. You know, we are very imperialist, not to get it confused with fascism, but I think we have elements of it. Yeah, I think history shows that whenever economies are in trouble, there tends to be a drift to the right. It's happening all over the world, and the U.S. is no exception.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, it's a great point. Voting Green right now is essentially throwing away a vote because we have to throw away, because it's dangerous if you give it to anybody. You know.
And why are you here today? Why are you here today?
Because this is the least I can do, right? It's like, what am I doing? There are people dying. Right now, it's Palestine, it's Lebanon, they're drawing Iran into it, and
do you think the United States wants war? Yeah. India?
So it's like I come from India, and if they draw Iran into the war, and oil prices spike, what we are going to see is millions of people who are going to suffer. Right? I think the leaders are kind of diverting our attention, saying that look at those 1,000 people who were murdered. And saying that, oh, because they are murdered, now we are willing to bet millions of lives. Because for some reason they think those millions of lives are less valuable than these 1,000. We saw the same thing with 9/11. 3,000 people died, huge tragedy. After effects, millions of people, brown people died. Apparently it doesn't even register.
And the United States invaded Afghanistan?
Two wrong countries, apparently. All the leaders had to do now is, oops, it was my bad. And they're, completely, their reputations are laundered. They're clean now. All our progressives, liberals, everybody is hugging them. They have dinners with them. They're good friends with them. So essentially we don't have a party, right? So to the question you asked, fascism, I'm scared of it, a person of color. I'm privileged, so I don't have to worry much about it. And I can go back to India, but the rise of, I don't think Democrats are not going to stop this from spreading, because they are going to be complicit. We saw that with this war. They are more than happy to, grease the wheels so that, and they keep telling me that this is something, it's like we are defending democracy, right? But their actions don't show that urgency. You don't go with a guy who might die in office day 2 if you are fighting this major fight. It feels like they want to use our emotions so that they can get into power and do nothing or continue down this path. We saw in every fight. We saw this in every fight. It's like worker rights, reform of gun rights. It's like everywhere the other guy is a boogeyman, so vote for us so that we won't do anything. So, yeah, it's like, throw your vote. It's like, throw your vote. It's like, you're doing better, because giving vote to either Democrats or Republicans is actually doing more harm.
John Holmes, active in higher education labor unions and former union officer for AFT 1603, Peralta Federation of Teachers, teaching history occasionally at Merritt College, and basically, I'm here to support Palestinian liberation and to fight against what Netanyahu and Israel are doing, and we need a labor mobilization. You can't rely on the Democrats, and Harris has made it clear that she's just as much a genocidaire.
And the role of the AFL-CIO, what's their role in what's going on with the genocide?
Their basic role is to support Harris. So sometimes some union officials will make nice statements and even pass resolutions for a ceasefire now that Biden and Trump have both said they're for ceasefires. But in terms of actually doing anything, the AFL-CIO is totally absent and has suppressed union attempts to do something about it repeatedly all over the country.
And aren't they affiliated with the Histadrut, the Israeli Trade Union Federation?
I believe that's correct.
Which is a Zionist trade union.
Right. And yeah, Histadrut, I mean, it's an indication of the class contradictions that Histadrut, which is a Zionist organization directed at preventing Palestinians to work, actually had a brief general strike against what Netanyahu is doing. But that's all been, now you have, but Netanyahu has swept up the population of Israel behind what he's doing by the invasion of Lebanon, making use of the fact that Hezbollah's rockets have compelled the evacuation of the northern fringe of Israel, thereby making it easy for the genocidal frenzy that the Israeli ruling class has ripped up among the working people in there to be extended to Lebanon. It's a desperate maneuver which is in long-term interest even against Israel, but certainly works well for Netanyahu politically.
And the rise of fascism, the attacks of Trump threatening a dictatorship and the rise of fascism in this country. Are you concerned what's going on in the Middle East will end up here with attacks, fascist attacks on the working class and the unions here?
I think you're going to get that regardless of whether you have Trump or Harris.
I wasn't talking about the politicians. I was talking about the general political situation. Danger of fascism.
The political situation, the basic difference as far as I'm concerned between Trump and Harris is that Trump says outright what he wants to do and Harris smiles and lies.
And what do you think about a political alternative? What working class people should do politically, since there is no mass workers' party in the United States?
Well, right now, I mean, you do have one workers' candidate on the ballot for the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and I think it would be very useful if it gets a large vote. I mean, I don't agree with the PSL on quite a few things, but they're running against the Democrats, and they put themselves forward as working class candidates for socialism, and their slogan is "End capitalism before it ends us," and I like that slogan. I think it's true. So I think it'd be useful for working people to vote for the PSL as a small step in the direction of a revolutionary working class party in this country.
For the past 20 years, the executive director of the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, Lada Al-Kiswani.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Noor and Zawaya, for starting us off with our national anthem. Perhaps it is in our songs that we can find meaning and hope in this moment. Despite the anguish we have felt over this last year and years prior, the Palestinian people have maintained our songs, our poetry, our dance, our trees, our olives, and our stories. Somewhere beneath the rubble, in Gaza, in the West Bank, and in Lebanon, there are new poppies growing, new stories waiting to be told, and our songs carrying us through. Because the reality, my friends, is there are no more words. So to speak now is humbling and somewhat an impossible task we must all take up. But it is our duty not only to speak out, it is our responsibility to act for the people of Palestine and for the sake of humanity. Today, with our head high, we are honoring our martyrs, our sumud, our steadfastness, and our resistance to this US-backed Israeli genocide. In doing so, we are remembering all those we have lost and who continue to sacrifice for our collective freedom. So let's take a minute to remember all the cities, the towns, the communities, the people who have been massacred as a result of US bombs gifted to apartheid Israel. Say after me, Gaza City, Jabalia, Mukhayyam al-Mawasi, Mukhayyam Nusayrat, Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, Jenin, Tul Karam, the port of Hudayda, Yemen, Sana'a, Yemen, دمشق سوريا الضيحة لبنان صيدا بلبك سور بنت جبيل مخيم بالداوي. These are our people. And today we not only honor them through our words, we commit to honoring them through our collective action. We vow not to forget. We will remember every city, every person lost over this year. Just like we have not forgotten Deir Yassin. Just like we have not forgotten Sabra wa Shatila. Just like we have not forgotten Baghdad, Kandahar, or Fallujah. Our history serves as a reminder of our strength, our purpose, and our inevitable freedom. We are not alone in our struggle for dignity. From Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Egypt, Afghanistan, Iran, and across the Arab and Muslim region. Our people are surrounded by the majority of people in the world. We have built the largest movement for Palestinian freedom in world history. And the movement is saying today, arms embargo now, stop arming Israel. And my friends, while we may feel defeated today because we truly have not stopped this genocide, we should also feel hopeful. Not only are we surrounded by millions, the majority of the world, carrying our struggle as their own, we too are in joint struggle with other people's movements who also find themselves at the bloody end of the stick of US imperialism and Zionism. We are supported by our siblings in South Africa who defeated apartheid. Supported by the people of Cuba, who have carved out a new path for freedom and democracy. We are supported by the nations of Bolivia, Colombia, Belize, Honduras, and Nicaragua. We are supported by all those who continue to fight for their self-determination against U.S. militarism. From the people of Haiti, who have shown the world what it means to defeat slavery in Colombia. Wage a struggle for national liberation. Our indigenous siblings right here on this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone people, and across Turtle Island, we join them in saying, land back. And to our Black siblings here in the United States who have joined us against militarism, we remain steadfast in solidarity and joint struggle against policing and militarism and the fight for reparations. And to our anti-Zionist Jewish allies who have risen up in unprecedented numbers to say, not in our name. Our struggle to end apartheid and settler colonialism is not ours alone. Our struggle for dignity and Arab liberation is not ours alone. Our struggle against anti-Palestinian racism, Islamophobia right here in the city is not ours alone. Our struggle for land and dignity is a collective struggle, and it is through that collective fight that we've been able to make gains, whether it's having the longshore workers say we will never allow an Israeli Zim ship to dock at our port right here in the city. Or it's Italy or Ireland who have vowed to not let any military shipments go through their ports. And just as they said, Jim Crow was impossible to end. Just like they said it was impossible to end apartheid South Africa. We know the centuries-long struggle of those movements make way for our freedom. Abolitionists and feminists, anti-apartheid leaders, and former political prisoners not only teach us about oppression, they teach us how to pave the path towards freedom. I will end by saying, while we have in fact seen the worst that war and racism has to offer, we have also seen the best of humanity. The Palestinian movement is shaping the world stage today. Through the struggle against this genocide, through demanding and forcing an arms embargo, and against the Israeli apartheid regime, vision for change blossoms. Let Palestine be our North Star for what is possible for all colonized and oppressed people. Let us free Palestine as a roadmap for the freedom of us all. Peace after peace. In the words of Assata Shakur, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. Comrades, we have nothing to lose but our chains.
From every corner of the globe, from Palestine to Lebanon to Yemen to right here in the diaspora, we will rise in defiance of colonial violence.
Due to that, I have 3 points to make. One is a message from Palestine, updated message from Palestine. 2 is a little look about what's happening right now in the region. And 3, what we can do as people that living here in the Bay Area in the United States. So the first one I wanted to say, a message from Palestine. I had the honor to speak this morning with an iconic woman, really strong, powerful woman from Nablus, who is the mother of Ibrahim from Nablus. She has really made me honored to be Palestinian, and she talked about how steadfastness that we can be. Also inspired me to read some of the poetry by Sabih al-Qasim. Okay, so I'm gonna say it in Arabic, then read it in English. I made the chance to translate it immediately today. So, ما دامت لي من أرض an olive tree, a lemon tree, a small well, a small cactus tree. As long as I have a memory, as long as I have a small library with a few bookshelves, a small picture of my grandfather, a piece of a wall, as long as I have Arabic words in my country, traditional popular songs, as long as I have short poetry manuscript, as long as I have my hands, as long as I believe in my destiny, I declare it in the face of my enemies, My enemies are the enemies of peace. I declare it in full-scale resistance, liberation, in the name of honorable, free people, workers, students, poets. As long as I have myself, my people, and my pride, my words will continue to be my bread and my weapon in the hands of the free people, in the hands of the free people, in the hands of the free people. As we mark almost a year of genocide, we're witnessing that we are at the verge of full-scale regional war that is led by the United States, acted by Israel, and supported by the West, all the West countries, and the puppet dictatorship regimes of the Arab region. And for Netanyahu to say that, he's making up four different countries against four different countries, and they claim to be in self-defense. This is not a self-defense. This is a genocide. Now, I want to come to the role of our role here in the United States. It is time that we really have the right to unveil Zionism as it is. Reject Zionism everywhere, in our unions,